Today, we embarked on a journey through time to explore the complex family dynamics of Jacob and his sons, with a special focus on his son Joseph. Jacob, also known as Israel, was a man of great faith. He had 12 sons with 4 different women: Leah, Rachel, Bilhah, and Zilpah. Each of these sons played an important role in Israel's history, but one stood out in Jacob's eyes: Joseph, the son of Rachel, Jacob's beloved wife. From a young age, Joseph showed wisdom and maturity beyond his years. He was a kind-hearted young man, full of dreams and fervent spirit. Jacob, recognizing Joseph's potential, couldn't hide his preference for him. He loved Joseph more than all his other sons. This preference didn't go unnoticed by the other brothers, who began to feel growing bitterness and jealousy. The relationship between Jacob and Joseph, and Jacob's increasing attention to Joseph, is a testament to a father's love, but also a reminder of the complexities and challenges that can arise within families. It was in this scenario of preferential love and growing jealousy that a piece of clothing became a symbol of division and a foreshadowing of an incredible story to come. Joseph's coat of many colors. Moved by the special love he felt for Joseph, Jacob decided to make him a coat of many colors. This was no ordinary garment. At that time, a colorful coat was a sign of distinction, usually reserved for nobility or the eldest son, the family heir. By giving Joseph this coat, Jacob was somehow elevating him above his brothers. The colorful, bright, and distinctive coat became a tangible symbol of Jacob's preference. Every time the brothers saw Joseph in his coat, they were reminded that he was the favorite. The jealousy, already sprouting in their hearts, began to grow, fueled by the constant sight of the colorful coat. Despite his brothers' growing jealousy, Joseph continued to wear the coat, proud of his father's love and unaware of the fury he was triggering in his brothers. It was in this atmosphere of family tension that Joseph began to have dreams that spoke of greatness and dominion. The first of these dreams was as follows. Joseph, the young dreamer, had a dream that exacerbated his brother's resentment. In the dream, Joseph and his brothers were in the field binding sheaves of wheat. Suddenly, Joseph's sheaf stood upright while his brothers' sheaves bowed down to his. When Joseph shared this dream with his brothers, the reaction was predictable. They asked him, "Do you really think you will reign over us? Do you think you will rule over us?" What Joseph probably saw as a promise from God, his brothers saw as yet another display of his presumption. They couldn't bear the idea of bowing down to their younger brother, their father's favorite. In this atmosphere of tension and resentment, Joseph had a second dream that further deepened the division between him and his brothers. In this second dream, the sun, the moon, and 11 stars bowed down to him. This dream was even bolder than the first because it wasn't just Joseph's brothers bowing down, it was also his father and mother. When Joseph shared this dream with his family, the reaction was disbelief and disapproval. Even Jacob, who loved Joseph more than any of his other sons, rebuked him, asking what kind of dream that was. He questioned him, "Do you really think that your mother, I, and your brothers will bow down to you on the ground?" What might have been a promise of greatness for Joseph was seen as a sign of arrogance by his family. His brothers' jealousy and anger intensified. Amidst this tension and discontent, Joseph's brothers began to plot against him. Unbeknownst to Jacob of the deep resentment his sons harbored, he sent them to check on their well-being in the field. When the brothers spotted Joseph in the distance, his colorful coat shining in the sun, they saw the perfect opportunity to rid themselves of the brother they despised. They attacked him and stripped him of his coat. His valuable coat was thrown into an empty well while Joseph lay in it. While Joseph was in the well, his brothers debated what to do with him. The idea of killing him was raised, but Judah, one of the brothers, suggested an alternative. Why not sell Joseph as a slave? So Joseph, the dreamer and his father's favorite, was sold as a slave to passing merchants on their way to Egypt. When Reuben returned to the well and found Joseph gone, he was devastated. To cover up what they had done, the brothers stained Joseph's coat with animal blood and brought it to Jacob, saying they had found the garment and suggesting that Joseph had been killed by a wild animal. Upon seeing his beloved son's blood-stained coat, Jacob was inconsolable. He mourned for his son, refusing to be comforted. This was how Joseph, the dreamer, found himself on the way to Egypt, far from his family and everything he knew. In Potiphar's house in Egypt, Joseph, torn from his homeland and sold as a slave, experienced the heaviness of sorrow. He was far from his beloved father and home, and he had been betrayed by his own brothers. He wondered why this had happened to him, why he, who had always tried to do what was right, was now in a foreign land, alone and enslaved. Despite the sadness and uncertainty, Joseph did not lose faith. He remained steadfast, trusting that God was with him. Even in that difficult situation in Egypt, Joseph was bought by a man named Potiphar, a high official of Pharaoh. Potiphar saw something special in Joseph, something that convinced him that this young Hebrew was different from other slaves. So, Joseph, the dreamer, found himself in a new home, serving a new master. Joseph, despite being a slave in a foreign land, was not defeated. He worked hard, showing integrity and wisdom in everything he did. His attitude and dedication did not go unnoticed by Potiphar. This officer saw in Joseph a man of character and ability. He realized that everything Joseph undertook prospered, and as a result, he appointed him supervisor of his household, entrusting him with all his business. Thus, Joseph, the dreamer and slave, became a man of great responsibility and respect in Potiphar's house. He managed Potiphar's house with wisdom and integrity, earning the trust and respect of his master. However, despite the success and prosperity, Joseph would face a new test, a temptation that would test his character and faith, the temptation of Joseph. Now a man of position and respect in Potiphar's house, Joseph caught the attention of Potiphar's wife. She was a beautiful and powerful woman, accustomed to having what she wanted, and what she wanted was Joseph. Day after day, she tried to seduce him, but Joseph, faithful to God and his master Potiphar, rejected her advances. He knew that giving in to temptation would be a betrayal to God and to Potiphar, who trusted him. Joseph, the dreamer, proved to be a man of integrity and character. Despite the temptation, he remained firm and chose to honor God above all. However, Joseph's constant refusal to yield to temptation had consequences. It eventually reached a breaking point. Enraged and humiliated by Joseph's rejection, Potiphar's wife falsely accused him of attempting to assault her. Potiphar, trusting his wife's words, had Joseph thrown into prison. In prison, Joseph faced yet another difficult situation. He was now a prisoner, isolated from the world, and far from the dreams he once had. But even in this dire circumstance, Joseph did not lose hope. His faith in God remained unshaken. In prison, Joseph, the dreamer, found favor in the eyes of the prison warden, who entrusted him with responsibilities and tasks.